Hi, welcome back. I'm Kathleen Jasper, and today we're talking special education exam strategy, specifically how to think through those tricky multiple choice questions so you can spot the right answer fast, even when everything looks kind of correct. Whether you're taking the 5355, the 5543, or any state version of a special education certification exam, the big ideas don't change. IDEA, least restrictive environment, inclusive practices, and positive, proactive behavior supports. So let's start with a mindset shift that will save you a ton of time on test day. Think like a test maker and work backwards. Instead of reading a long scenario and panicking, glance at the answer choices first. Your job is to hunt for good words and eliminate bad words. On teacher certification exams, anything that sounds harsh, negative, reactive, or overly punitive is usually a red flag. Words like threaten, send the student out, time out until they behave, call home immediately, those tend to be distractors. Now, are those things sometimes used in real life? Of course. I've been a teacher and an assistant principal. I've seen it all. But the test is measuring what you, as the classroom teacher, can do proactively to support students, especially students with IEPs, inside your classroom. Let's talk behavior because this shows up constantly. A classic scenario: a student keeps calling out during reading time. Usually, it's attention seeking. The answer that keeps appearing, because it's grounded in best practice, is positive behavior interventions and supports. One strategy under that umbrella is planned ignoring. If a behavior is minor, attention seeking, and safe to ignore, you keep instruction moving. You don't feed the behavior. Instead, you pour attention into students doing the right thing. You might say, I love how Vanessa is tracking the text. Vanessa, what did I just read? You reinforce the behavior you want to see. Instruction continues. The class stays engaged. Does it work every single time? No. But on the test, it's often the strongest answer because it protects learning and reinforces positive behavior without escalating the situation. Now, another huge exam theme: routines and procedures. If you see words like transitions, emotional disturbance, overwhelmed, difficulty moving from one activity to the next, your brain should immediately go to routines and procedures. And not vague routines, concrete, modeled, practiced routines. Think visual schedules, step by step checklists, timers, clear countdowns. In 5 minutes, we're switching to math. Transitions are stressful for a lot of students, especially those who struggle with regulation. Predictability reduces anxiety. Structure creates safety. Here's another trap to watch for: answers that make someone else responsible for your intervention. Call the parents. Ask the principal. Get a paraprofessional. Pair the student with a classmate who knows what to do. Now, collaboration is important. Parents and support staff matter. But on the test, the adult in the room, you, are responsible for designing supports and teaching routines. Be skeptical of answers that shift your responsibility onto someone else, especially another student. Now let's talk about a heavyweight concept: least restrictive environment, or LRE. This is everywhere. Multiple choice, scenarios, constructed response. If you can appropriately work the phrase least restrictive environment into a written response, that's a strong move. LRE means that, to the greatest extent appropriate, students with disabilities are educated alongside their non-disabled peers in general education settings with the supports and accommodations they need. The default mindset on the test is inclusion first. Support the student in general education. Avoid unnecessary segregation. Yes, there are cases where more specialized settings are appropriate, but the exam leans toward inclusion with support. Another key term: functional behavior assessment, or FBA. When you see FBA, think we're trying to figure out why the behavior is happening. What's the antecedent? What's triggering it? Because if we can identify the cause, we can change the environment, teacher replacement behavior, and prevent the issue instead of constantly reacting to it. It's proactive. That's the theme. Quick timeline reminder under IDEA. IEPs are reviewed at least annually, every single year. Reevaluations generally happen every 3 years. That annual review requirement is a favorite test question, so lock it in. IEP revised yearly. Now here's one more test-taking gem. Watch for strong language. Words like always, never, only, solely, entire school year. Education is about monitoring and adjusting supports. If an answer sounds rigid or extreme, it's often wrong. And if the question shifts into reading instruction and says critical thinking, think Bloom's taxonomy. Words like analyze and evaluate signal higher order thinking. If the STEM says critical thinking and one answer says analyze key textual details, while another says identify the main idea, analyze is likely your winner. So let's recap your big takeaways. Work backwards from the answer choices. Eliminate punitive or reactive responses. Look for positive supports, proactive behavior strategies, clear routines and procedures. Think functional behavior assessment. Keep least restrictive environment in your back pocket. And be cautious of extreme language. If you train your brain to spot those good words, the test becomes much more predictable. Before you go, check out my comprehensive special education resources at kathleenjasper.com to help you study smarter and feel confident on exam day. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more tips and quick strategies. If this episode helped, share it with someone who needs it. Thanks for listening. See you next episode.